Hopefully I've got my own clicker here. This is getting me in shape for the start of the school year also. But today's message is, as you see, the blessing. What does that word mean to you? Blessing or bless or blessed means a lot of different things to a lot of people. Probably the most common usage is a sign or a manifestation of God's favor, of a divine being is bestowing favor and blessing you, or asking a divine being for a blessing. Something you're grateful for, a blessing in your life. Or the meaning that we're going to kind of dig in today, which is another person, not a divine being, but another person's sanction and support, their blessing. We use the word a lot of ways. My dad was very fond of saying to people, "Bless your little heart." And according to Urban Dictionary, kids don't use that as a reference in your papers, but according to Urban Dictionary, bless your little heart can, quote, be an insult, an expression of pity/sympathy, or a compliment, depending on the context. When I told Fawn the topic, she said she could not stop thinking about the movie Christmas Vacation when Aunt Mabel, Aunt Bethany is asked to say the blessing, which ends up being the Pledge of Allegiance. Maybe you've had a checker tell you have a blessed day. I kind of grit my teeth sometimes when I'm not in a great attitude, or you've seen #blessed on someone's wall. Something you say after someone sneezes, bless you. There are various theories about the origin of that, but one is that in medieval times, people thought when you sneezed that your soul was leaving your body, and the bless you was to keep it in, counteract the devil snatching your soul away. I've seen this on a lot of walls. The Irish blessing, may the road rise to meet you. Let me stop right there and say I've never understood that completely. Like, that sounds like a horrible thing. If you're driving down the road and the road is rising. But apparently it means, may you have good, safe travels. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Blessed be, a Wiccan term meaning or wishing you good and positive things. Blessed be. Well, my message today isn't really so much about any of those, but a kind of a different take on it, inspired by a book called The Blessing. It came out, I think, around 1990. It was a big hit at the time. It's a Christian book. It's very Christian. If you read it, you'll see that. But principles that apply regardless of your religious beliefs. And it sort of starts with the story, the biblical story in the book of Genesis, chapter 37, of Isaac, who was very old, pretty much blind, confined to bed, and it was time for him to give the blessing. And it was to go to his oldest son, Esau. Now, Esau and Jacob were twins, but Esau was born first. So he is the eldest son. So I'm going to read you a little bit from Genesis. He called his son Esau and said, I'm now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your quiver and your bow. Go out in the open country and hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like and bring it to me to eat so that I may give you my blessing before I die. So Esau, gets his quiver and bow and heads out to go hunting. Well, Rebekah, who is Isaac's wife and the mother of Jacob and Esau, heard this. Her favorite son, though, was not Esau. It was Jacob. And so she quickly came up with a plan. While Esau is out hunting, we're going to go in the backyard and kill some goats. Jacob is going to pretend to be Esau. I'm going to cook it up, the way I know Isaac likes it. And Jacob went along with this. He said, but won't my father I'm not very hairy. Esau's very hairy. And our father's blind, but he will feel my arm. And she said, we will. You kind of see it in this picture here. We'll wrap your arms in animal hair. Seems like Isaac could have told the difference. Okay, stop questioning. All right. You're hairier than usual. At any rate, this deception worked. Isaac gives the blessing, a long blessing of prosperity, and that he will rule over his brother, and that he will have many children. Then Esau comes back. And he says, I'm here, I fixed the food the way you like it, it's fresh wild game. And Isaac says, who are you? I'm your son Esau. When he finds out what happens, he gives this, it's so sad and kind of pitiful, this cry, do you have only one blessing, Father? Bless me too. Isaac gives him kind of a second-rate blessing. So I gave all the good blessing to your brother, sorry. Esau, at that moment, vows to kill his brother Jacob. Rebekah overhears that too and tells Jacob to get out of town. You think your family's messed up. Can you imagine like the Thanksgiving that year? Well, by the way, every family in the Bible is highly dysfunctional. Starting with Adam and Eve and their darling boys, Cain and Abel. And forward. Like there's what people, think of as the ideal nuclear happy family. You can't find it. That sort of, kind of inspires this story. Of course, in the book, that's a launching pad. They go kind of in a whole new and different direction. The tradition, though, of giving a blessing to one's children has been maintained in the Jewish community. Has anyone seen the movie Fiddler on the Roof? Or the play, the musical? One of my favorites. And there's a great scene in there where it's mainly the mother. Really, the father kind of joins in. But it's mainly the mother on Sabbath day. Sings this song, Sabbath Prayer. The lighting of the candles and the blessing of the daughters. By the way, in the Bible, it's always a man blessing a son. But here we have a mother blessing her daughters and saying, may the Lord protect and defend you. May he always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. By the way, both of them were sort of troublemakers. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen them, O Lord, and keep them from the stranger's ways. Everybody looks over at the one guy there who's not a Jew in the room. This tradition, though, I think has continued even today, particularly in Orthodox homes. Every Sabbath day, giving a blessing to the young people. And so that's what they pick up on in this book. The blessing, which says on the cover, no matter what our age, our parents' approval affects the way we view ourselves and how we act with those we love most. Now we can all learn to find and give the unconditional acceptance the Bible calls the blessing. And in this book, they give 5 elements. Could give a whole sermon on each one. I won't. Just shortly, share those 5 things, which they say are present in the biblical stories, but are just basic principles. And as they talk about the blessing, it's not just a one-time thing you give on your deathbed. It is a daily, it is an ongoing way of blessing our children, but also everyone around us, our significant other, close friends, and family. Meaningful touch. In these stories in the Bible, there's always touching involved, whether it's a hairy arm, kissing on the neck. There's a New Testament story where the disciples were trying to chase away the children who were coming to see Jesus. And he said, no, don't do that. Let the children come to me. And it says he held them and blessed them. Holding. We need touch. That's one of the things I think during the pandemic that was so difficult. Yeah, you can see and hear people on Zoom. You can't touch. You can't hug and hold and pat. Children need that. I think we all know instinctively a baby needs to be held. That comforts them. Unfortunately, as our children get older, as they reach grade school and maybe the teenage years, parents, especially dads, often stop touching their children. Maybe they're afraid it's going to be misinterpreted or awkward, and so they stop touching as much. They stop hugging and kissing. And they make the point it's very important to keep doing that. It may take a different form. I'm very fortunate. I grew up in Brazil. Brazil has a very affectionate culture. My parents were missionaries there, and in Brazil, people touch all the time. They kiss on the cheeks, and men hug other men that they're not even necessarily related to. And it's not considered, a sexual thing. It's abraço. Dá-me abraço, irmão. Give me a hug, a bear hug. So it's a manly thing. It's okay. If you have the word bear in it, it's okay. To be affectionate. Our culture, not so much. Of course, there are other cultures even less affectionate than ours. We're maybe in the middle. But we need that. We need touch. And by the way, it's not always human to human. Anybody have a pet that they like to touch and likes to be touched, likes to be petted? In fact, some places in the country, they have connected elderly people in retirement communities or nursing homes with animal shelters. And they found out, wow, we're meeting a need for both of them by bringing them together occasionally. The second element, a verbally spoken message of love and acceptance. I love you. Another thing, sometimes hard, and again, I'm pick on men, hard sometimes for men to say, but all of us, maybe depending on how we were brought up, it kind of catches in our throat to say, I love you. We need to say it, we need to hear it. We need to praise each other's accomplishments. As a side note, and this wasn't in the book, but in some of the other research I did, they made the point. You can go overboard in terms of constantly praising someone so that it becomes almost meaningless. And they gave the example, if a child, let's say, kind of half-heartedly does a school project, I'm sure that never happens, and they show their parents, and the parents are like, that is the most magical and golden thing I've ever seen. You are awesome. Everything you touch is wonderful. And really, it's a piece of not acceptable work. Maybe the loving thing at that point is to, again, in a loving way, but to say, do you think this is the best you can do? Did you do your best? Did you work hard on this? Not really. One of the things as parents is not just that they hear us affirming them, but they learn how to gain self-confidence on their own by doing things they're proud of and doing a good job, doing their best. There's a fine balance here, right? Because we don't want to get into where they're only praised when they perform well. But I think if we focus on character, are you persevering? Are you being honest? Are you being kind? and not so much that you're the best in your class. This one very much connects attaching high value to the person being blessed. I value you. You're unique. You're special. And I kind of stole my thunder on the previous one on this. But instead of saying to them, you're the best soccer player in the whole league, saying something like, I love the way you work hard out there and you keep going, and the way you encourage your teammates. Because not every kid is the best one in the league. Not everyone gets a trophy. And learning how to lose, well, they do maybe sometimes, but learning how to lose and to accept that gracefully, that's part of growing up too, right? The fourth one, picturing a special future for that person. I see you doing great things. Not to box them in. My younger sister, I have a younger sister, 2 older brothers. So she grew up with 3 older brothers. And she used to tell people, my oldest brother, Larry, he's the handsome one. My second brother, Danny, he's the brave one. My third brother, Gene, he's the smart one. Which, at first, like, well, that's nice. Yeah, I won't argue with that. But then I'm like, so I'm the ugly, cowardly one? So we have to be a little careful in attaching labels, like you're the smart one, you're the athletic one, you're the pretty one. Those can very quickly become negative things, right, where they're stuck in a box. So again, focusing on character and not outward traits that maybe they can't change or do that much about. Some of us grew up maybe in homes where we heard negative things pictured for our future, like you're so irresponsible, you're never going to amount to anything. No one's ever going to want to be with you the way you act. You're so messy. I mean, we could go on and on. Those negative, those stay in our heads. And so better to bring out those positives. You have such a sensitive heart. I wouldn't be surprised if you grow up helping a lot of people. We're not boxing them into one career or path, but that could apply a lot of ways. So affirming their character. Do kids remember random things that their parents said to them, either good or bad? Do you remember things? And maybe to them it was kind of off the cuff. And one I think of, when I was 6 years old, we were back in the States, and I wanted a bicycle. And I remember going with my dad, holding his hand and going to different stores. And I'm not sure if we couldn't find one or they were too expensive. It was probably that. But we went to several stores empty-handed, and I said, Dad, it's okay. I don't need a bicycle. And my dad said these words that got burned into my brain. Vinzants never quit. And like, I did not know we had a family motto. And is that a good family motto? Sometimes you need to quit, right? there are certain things, Rehab is for quitters, Sometimes they're bad habits. You need to quit. Or just, you're throwing good money after bad. And I remember about probably 30 years later, as a grown adult with my own children, I said, Dad, I've always tried to stick with that philosophy. Vinzant's never quit. He said, what are you talking about? He said, no memory of it whatsoever. My own daughter, who lives in Austin and is 31, about to turn 31, she said, Dad, I've always remembered what you said to me about driving. What did I say? I'm sure I said a lot of things. What did I say? She said, never honk at other people. You don't know how crazy they are. So there's other things. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, finally, because a lot of this, all right, you could do that and not really mean it, right? Just, oh, here's a hug. Oh, you're going to be awesome. That's where kind of the rubber hits the road. An active commitment to fulfill the blessing. I'm going to come to your games. I'm going to be there for you. I said I could see you being successful in whatever you do. I'm going to help make sure you are, if there's a way I can help you do that. One of the authors talks about his mother. He said if anyone goes to her home, she's an older woman, and they'll see on her bookshelf there's one row of books on psychology and theology. The second row of books, there's a textbook on genetics and past issues of medical journals. And the third shelf has books like how to drive a tractor and past issues of, heavy equipment for everyone type things. People might think, that is very weird. But the reason is she has 3 sons, and those are their 3 interests. And so her way of showing an active commitment was to say, I'm going to learn about those things. She even took a course in genetics, did not pass, but I want to be able to talk to them about what they do for a living and ask intelligent questions. So that's one way of getting interested in the things they're interested in. So you can at least have a conversation. It gets, this is where it gets real. Well, I don't want anyone in here to raise their hand, but how many of us feel like we received all of these things from our parents or whoever raised us as we were growing up, that these are things we consistently got and have no question about our parents' love and support for us? Well, probably some of us did. I think I mostly did. Very loving parents. Our most difficult point was when I became a Unitarian Universalist. And to them, put my soul in danger, and I rejected the family. But fortunately, they did not, cut me off or stop communicating, shun me. My mom, though, still living, still has not given up on me, seeing the light once again. But there are others, I'm sure, here who didn't even get that much support. And it's difficult. And I'm not going to pretend to know the answers of how do you deal with that going forward. Here's another question. At what age do you stop hearing your parents' voice in your head? I'm 59. I still hear my dad's passed away 11 years ago. I hear or I see something. I imagine political arguments with him. And me always convincing him. No. We never completely get past that. You can't undo that, right? But we can be a blessing to each other, to your significant other, to your friends, to your family, and fill in what they maybe did not get from their own parents. Part of the healing process maybe is to realize that our parents had their own issues. Did they get the blessing growing up from their parents? Maybe they were doing good when you consider, where they were coming from. My favorite part of this book is the end, where they give some very, very specific examples. I like practical examples. They give 100, and I'm not going to read them. But they're ones that when they've given this seminar in churches or other settings, and they ask people, write down on an index card, what is a way your parents or others blessed you specifically. But I want to read a few of these. My parents would take the time to really listen to me when I talked to them by looking directly into my eyes. You can't always do that, like when you're driving, but here's one. They would let me explain my side of the story. This one, my family didn't do this, but we went camping as a family. And those of you who do that kids remember that the rest of their lives. It's huge. They would take each of us out individually for a special breakfast with each parent, just them and their parent. One said, I got to spend the day at my parents' office, seeing where they worked and meeting the people that they knew. My parents were willing to admit when they were wrong and say, I'm sorry. As a family, we often read and discussed the book, The Velveteen Rabbit. My parents loved me by loving each other. My mom was always willing to help me with my math homework. When I wrecked my parents' car, my dad's first reaction was to hug me and let me cry. My dad used to ask me all the time, what would it take for this to be a great year for you? And then tried to help make that happen. One, I found, this was for Renee, about my parents always came to my piano recitals and acted like they enjoyed it. That is a way to share the blessing. This one I like too. My father went with me when I had to take back an ugly dress a saleswoman had talked me into buying. Even though I didn't like it at the time, the chores my parents made me do helped me learn responsibility. Oh, here's an important one. My parents didn't compare my abilities with those of my siblings or the other kids at school, but helped me see my own unique value. My parents quit using a nickname that I didn't like. And this last one, my wife has done this. My mother would slow down when I helped her cook to let us accomplish the task together. Well, I thought it would be interesting to kind of do a blessing. And I asked Ben and Catherine if I could do this with their son, Adam. I see I've put him to sleep, sleeping so peacefully. So I don't want to wake him up. But could y'all come up? I meant to rig up a wireless mic and forgot. So I'll just do it from here. So Adam, you're an awesome kid. He can hear me even though he's asleep. This will seep into his unconsciousness. You know, one of the greatest things that you can ever do is pick awesome parents. And you knocked that one out of the park. So well done. And you know there's nothing you can ever do to make them love you any less or any more, because they love you totally, and they always will. They, and I think all of us here, want the best for you. We hope you grow up healthy and strong and do great in school and whatever you do in life. But more importantly, we hope you grow up to be kind and honest and loving. And your parents and everyone who loves you, your family and all your friends are going to be there for you. And as you will face challenges in life and setbacks, but just know we're all in your corner and we're rooting for you, and we'll do whatever we can to help you. You are blessed, and may you be a blessing to others. Thank you. And I couldn't think of it. Yeah, Renee, stop crying. I couldn't think of a better conclusion to the sermon than the song that we're going to sing, which a lot of us know. We invite you to stand as you're willing and able, as Jory leads us.
Yeah, as soon as I can stop crying.